There are 3 reliable and consistent ways to make money in the stock market, all with pros and cons. We talk about index funds and buying and holding those. We also know about following the money, especially when it comes to expert investors like Warren Buffett. Some people call this coattail investing. Looking at his portfolio, looking at what he buys, looking at what he sells, and we've done videos on this as well. Then there's the third one. This is following the insiders, looking at what they buy, when they buy, and making moves and even assumptions based on that information. But here is the thing. Not every insider is the same, and some insiders hold a bit more power. They hold the keys to everything that is going on. Let's go ahead and break it down. Now, when I talk about insider buyers and insider investors, not insider trading because that's a crime, there are CEOs and board members who have to file their investments and what they are doing when they buy shares of their own company. Now, studies have shown that when they do that, they do quite well and they outperform the stock market. Love to do that, love to invest when I know those stocks and those companies when it happens. Love to do it. I ain't talking about them. What I am talking about is those on Capitol Hill. These are the people who hold even more power because those are the ones who know what bills are coming up, what they are going to pass, and what they are not going to pass. They know where the money is going to be spent. For example, when we knew about the infrastructure bill, when we knew about the CHIPS Act, these are the people passing those bills and those laws, and they know who they are going to spend the government's money on. So if they have $1 trillion bill, if they are going to cut taxes, they know what companies they are going to benefit, and they know what to invest in before any of us do. Now, is that the best thing for them to be doing? No, it's not, okay? But that ain't nothing I can change as one person. I voted, I did what I could. All right. In the meantime, though, what we can do is see exactly what they're investing in. So let's do that, especially for the top 3 investors on Capitol Hill and those moving to Capitol Hill and or the White House. So let's first start off with Dan Crenshaw, Texas representative, U.S. representative in obviously the House of Representatives, and his top 5 holdings and how well they did. So again, his top 5, starting from 5 and moving up. His year-to-date performance is actually 1 week late, so it could be a bit better. But he is up year-to-date 42%, which is good. And speaking of index funds, at the very bottom, he is up 47% alone on the S&P 500. We talked about index funds, buying and holding. That is my number 1 strategy. And this is number 5 strategy, and it still works, okay? It's boring. It's easy to do. He does it. That might be the only thing I recommend that you do that some of these other people do. But it's there, okay? So I'm going to leave it alone. Index funds are still good. Next, as we move up on the list, is Google. I haven't really talked about Google a lot, but it is a company that I have a lot of money in still. It's a buy and hold for me, and I have been holding. I haven't talked a ton about it, but it's a company I still hold. You can see what I currently hold on public. It says all-time performance, and all-time performance for him starts back in when he got in office in 2022. Next here is Amazon. Amazon all-time performance from 2022 for him. January 20th is when he got in office. Again, up 126%, which is quite good for Amazon. And then here's the stock, technically ETF, I repeat, would not recommend, is FAS. This is I always mispronounce this, the Dextrillion, whatever it is you want to call it. It is a 3x leveraged ETF. What this means is if basically it invests in what's called the Russell 1000. Okay, it's 1,000 companies that this particular ETF, index ETF, invests in, but it's leverage and it's 3x leverage, which means if this index goes up by 1%, then you make 3 times that, which is good. It's great if the market is up on that particular day. If the market is down, then you also lose 3 times your money. It is also not something you would recommend investing in long term, just because the performance gets out of whack. It can get real crazy real quick. So not something I would recommend to a new investor. It's also really hard to kind of track. I don't know if he was buying in and out or something like this. It's just not something I would recommend. It can be it's a trader's weapon. Okay, this is something you really got to be in the weeds if you're going to be messing with something like that. It is not something that I touch, and it's not something I would recommend that you touch unless you are a true trading expert. You like, this is like day trader territory, which is not something that I recommend most beginner or even mid-tier investors should be. Right, that's just my angle on it. All right. Then moving into number 1 is Meta. His all-time winnings or holdings rather are 341.8%. Wow, that's pretty good. Wish I had held Meta. Probably one of my, I wouldn't call it my biggest mistake because it was pretty bad at the time. But Meta is up there. Next here is Donald Trump makes the list because he's moving into the White House. Now, oddly enough, there's a lot that can be said here, but his performance is just 18.4%, which is well below the S&P 500, which at last I checked was close to, if not above, 25% on the year. I think I checked like 2 days ago, and it was like 27% or so, give or take, depending on what time you're watching the video. But 18% is well below, again, the S&P 500. Comparing it to the previous representative, he was at 42%. So pretty big drop off. But again, double-digit returns, not anything to be ashamed of. But Charles Schwab is the number 5 holding that he does have. Interesting, you don't hear, I do like a lot of finance stocks. My favorite is KKR. Charles Schwab is not one you hear of a lot, but you will see a theme here. Next, that's only up 14%, so I think that's the one that's really holding him down. Next is IBKR. That's Interactive Brokers. Now, from the time, all-time performance for him is just up 22%. However, if you go look at Interactive Brokers right now, I would encourage you to do this, especially if you're watching on your TV or you could have like in-person window. But the picture-in-picture feature on your phone or whatever, or you watch us on a computer, you have a phone, whatever, you got 2 screens. Look at Interactive Brokers and the performance. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty good, especially for the last 6 months and over last year. I will try and remember to add its recent performance on the screen, because I looked at it and was like, wow, this could be something under the radar. Apparently it just hasn't hit high enough for us to talk about it, but it doesn't mean it's not a good stock. So that's one I might have to circle back to and do a bit more research. So he might be onto something there. Liberty Media is on here. That's a question mark for me. I tried to do a bit of research on that and couldn't find any stock symbols, so maybe it got acquired. Maybe it's something with Sirius Media. So I'll come back to that one. You know something about it, let me know. But that one's a question mark. Tesla is on here. He's only up 42%. Question marks there. I feel like you should be at way more if you're investing in Tesla. That's totally fine. Then he has Palantir. We talked a lot about Palantir, but combined, he's only up 18.4%. He's had to pay for a lot of lawsuits and a bunch of other stuff. Maybe that's what it was. Also, we know a bunch of his money is in real estate. So it is what it is. Next here is the person that you probably knew about. Okay, you probably saw this coming. This is Nancy Pelosi, up 48.4%, which was the highest performance from what I saw. I mean, again, the stock market is up well over 20%. You double up that's a lot. Okay, that is doing quite well, which, that's wild. Okay, but starting at the very bottom, and it looks like all of her top holding, the top performance, is all in tech. So we got CrowdStrike coming in at number 5, moving up, and that is a 36% performance year to date based on the time that they pulled this data. And all of this, I'll put the link from where I got all this data. That way you can just go directly to it. Next is Palo Alto Networks, a company we talked a lot about during the top half of the year. I started taking gains around June, but I believe this August is at least decent to solid. And then you've got Google and Apple. Google year-to-date performance, the time they did this was about 35%. Then you got Apple. Apple's still quite good, at least for Nancy Pelosi, at 56% gains. And then the stock that everybody already knows, is Nvidia, up 115%, which feels low. It just feels low, and I'm saying that sarcastically because Nvidia had did so well last year, still apparently up more than 100% this year, which again is an outlandish number. Now, with all of this info, what are the things that you can take from it and use to your advantage? So, can you just like take it and just run with it, and should you just absolutely just invest in it with no additional research? No, you should not do that. But it does kind of give us some contextual information and some things that you should pull together. So just yesterday, I had did was it yesterday or the day before yesterday actually, I did a video on the top 5 sectors, and ironically enough, the best trader here, the best investor, pretty much invests in all technology. Now, to her credit, if you will, if you want to call it credit, she's also in the Bay Area. California does have a lot of tech companies too, so she may be a bit more biased there. But tech was one of those areas, which I don't think is a surprise. I don't think that's a revelation. It's quite easy to say that, so it's not, a brilliant observation or anything. But tech is one of those areas. You saw Donald Trump investing a lot in finance companies, Charles Schwab, Interactive Brokers. I did bring that up, right? And I said finance is one of those places. I said KKR was my favorite. I think that is yet another area. So while I don't think you have to copy anybody's portfolio because their goals are different, their budgets are way different, and they know things that we don't, and we don't know when they're buying and selling exactly all that. But I do think it does absolutely make sense to say, here are the patterns. They're investing in tech. They're investing in finance stocks. What are some things that I may want to consider adding to my portfolio, and seeing what gaps you may have, and then doing your research to see which one of those stocks or which one of those areas may fit for you. I think that is the biggest thing that you want to consider moving into 2025, because those are the things that are going to be in play. Because going into 2025, there are a lot of paths that we can take, right? It can go left or right. Before the year is over, I want to do a brand new workshop. We had talked about that. I'll put a link down here, buildingbread.com/free. You can join our email list, and we'll talk more about that workshop. This weekend, I really want to get time to plan out everything. But before the end, there will be conversations about what is going to be the forecast. Are we going to go into recession? Will the economy go? What will the stock market do? A lot of different things about what people think is going to happen. Here's what I do know, okay? These people are going to be in charge. They're going to have their hands on the wheel. That is a fact. Whether you like these people or not, they're going to have their hands on the wheel, okay? That is a fact. And they, you got one in the White House, one in the Senate, one in the House of Representatives. Those are the hands on the wheel, okay? I'm sorry, actually, no, both were in the House. One was in the White House. We did not have one in the Senate in this particular video. But they have their hands on the wheel. So they are going to have some information, and they are going to have way more information than me and you are going to have. Now, we have seen investors in Congress that do not do well. So that is why I'm not telling you to do everything that they do and do it blindly. I'm not telling you to do that. But we know that Pelosi's record is quite good, right? We do know that. So it may make sense just to see patterns, okay? Take what we currently know now, see what's doing well now, and take information from all these places and start to piece your puzzle together. Okay, so that is what I'm saying. So I think right now we know finance seems to be the spot. We know rates appear to continue to go down and at least stay stable, which is helping these finance companies. We know what tech is, and we still think that AI is going to be solid. And then you can go back and review that video to see the other areas that might make sense to invest in 2025. You missed that video and are curious about other places to invest, you want to make sure you check out these videos here.